trading Damaris to acquire Sylvia Fowles. Damaris is still mad at me. I am still working through that with her. We're not quite there in terms of the closure on that. Every once in a while, if she doesn't play well, she kind of goes, "Are you going to trade me?" No, she doesn't. I'm just kidding. She doesn't say that. But I think, it had to happen. I think, she had a lot of people in her corner. Jeanette Arcane, those of you that have followed the WNBA for a long time, Jeanette Arcane, the Brazilian that played for the Houston Comets. Jeanette is a tremendous mentor to Damaris. And Jeanette is somebody that I worked with closely in her first season, and then when we went through the trade business, and then to have finally Damaris back here. We sort of knew that at some point in her career she would come back home to Minnesota. There's a couple of great Brazilian restaurants that Damaris loves here, and just somebody we're really excited about. Where were we, Jana? We were talking about the season, right?
We were talking about basketball.
So Damaris gets hurt. Damaris gets injured. We were in Dallas. She was returning from injury, and we probably got her on the court a little too soon. And she ended up, straining her, I think it was her calf at that time, and was going to miss more time. I think we had 7 players that next night against Dallas. Stephanie Talbot stepped up big for us, the Australian that we traded for. And so there's just these moments throughout the season where I just thought we showed great resilience. Odyssey Sims was somebody that was highly motivated. It doesn't feel very good, I'm sure, to be traded, and so I think she was highly motivated. Her first ever All-Star appearance, her first ever second team All-WNBA. So we just had players that were motivated to prove people wrong, and ended up kind of hanging in there. And a few games out of that, hosting, the first round of the playoffs, a few games out of that, we felt like if we had Jess and if we had Karima, that we might have had a chance to be in a top 4 team. But a lot of teams say that this time of year. Well, if we'd have had this, if we'd have won this game, if the referees didn't stink, we might have been first. But we just really felt like, we made the most of what we had. And, I told them how proud I was of them. Thank you.
There are players that we still don't know about as fans. What happens? What should we know, or what can we know? What is the future of Rebecca Brunson in the Minnesota Lynx? Simone, Danielle Robinson, where does she fit in?
Yeah. Did Jim send these?
Who's Jim?
He would not have asked that if he was sitting right here. It's easy. Hey, Jana, ask Cheryl this.
Wait, really? Okay, bye.
I just saw Rebecca Brunson over at the Gopher game, and the only thing I could say about Rebecca is I think it's time for us to start to read the writing on the wall. That it's not likely that you're going to see Rebecca Brunson return to playing basketball. That's me talking. Rebecca could walk in the back door and say I'm really wrong, and I would be okay with that. But I think we have to start, having that mindset. I did reach out to Rebecca during our season. We needed players. We were in a bad way. I said, Rebecca, come on, just come out and play for, just a 7-day contract or something.
Was it during that Dallas game? Do you just text?
It was. It was. I said, BB, get down here. We need you. But we had that conversation, and she actually at that particular time. So the good news is this: we're not talking about the effects of the concussion anymore. That's the good news, because that was a big impediment. So that's really good. I think she's feeling good. She's healthy. She did at that time when I had reached out to her, talk about that she was working out, but her knee wasn't responding the way she wanted, and she's not. Everyone has their time when they're ready to communicate something as big as no longer playing, and so when Rebecca's ready, she would communicate that to us. But like I said, I think we have to start reading the writing on the wall, and if something different happens, then we'd all be really excited. But for now, I think we have to kind of retrain our minds a little bit with regard to that situation.
Do we have to do the same with Simone? You think she'll play one more year?
Yeah, I think that's the mindset for Simone. I think all of us that watch know that Simone's, clearly she's valuable. I thought Simone had one of her best leadership years this year. One of her best, by far. And I didn't ask for anything different from Simone, but she gave it to us. She recognized, and I was just so proud of her for this, and I communicate this to her. We had some young players that didn't know which way was up. They had no idea how to deal with me. They just were struggling. And some of the best stories for Simone come out of the way she led Lexi Brown, who quite frankly needed leadership. She needed, just to, kind of focus on someone other than herself, focus on the team, and focus on, the good she was doing, in the name of the team. And so we have some of these younger players that have to be conditioned about what it's like to play for the Minnesota Lynx. You have to give of yourself, period. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. And so Simone was just outstanding. In the ways that Simone would be. Simone's humor was on 10, as they say. She was good for me, but I think that in terms of where Simone is, I think we can all see that her best basketball is behind her, so to speak, from a physical standpoint. And so we have to work through, that's awesome.
Give it up for Oliver, everybody.
Oliver and his friend Chandler. Say hello to Oliver and Chandler.
For those listening at home, the Littles have overtaken the room here at Lush and are waving flags of pride.
Pride parade coming through. Thank you for being here, young ones. It's like the last place I'll ever wanted to be. Mom, I just want to stay home and play. As a family, we had Christmas this morning because I hit the road actually tonight. After our show, I'll fly out and head on a scouting trip. And then we do our annual family tour, Ohio and New Jersey. And so we had our Christmas. So Santa made a very special visit last night. And so apparently Oliver was really good this year because he got some really fun things. It's amazing how Santa knows exactly what to get the little ones. And so he was blessed, and he would like to be home playing with all of his castles and whatever else he got, and an iPad. Can you believe it? He's 5 years old. He got an iPad. Yeah, because he was using mine too much. So we thought maybe he'd have his own.
Santa must have known Oliver was using your iPod.
I mean, he's watching. Right. But the iPad that he has, and this is tough. This is tough life. That he could no longer download the games that he wanted because it was so obsolete. That iPad was pretty darn old, and he just would be really. And a blue one, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the blue case. Yes, I know exactly what. Oh, it has Minecraft. He's really into Minecraft. He builds castles on Minecraft. So he's very, very excited.
Oliver might be able to better answer this question, but you brought it up with Simone, so I have to ask. You mentioned that she taught other players how to deal with you. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's really simple. It's really simple that we have some non-negotiables. And I think those of you that have been following this team know what the non-negotiables are. You're going to play hard. You're going to defend and rebound, period. If you don't, I don't care what you do on offense. And so I think, understanding too that it's team first. So that's all. And maybe there's a love language that I use that doesn't really match up with everyone else's love language. It's certainly love language. And I think, sometimes maybe the expression of that love language could come across differently for people. And so Simone's a great interpreter of those moments.
I need to get Simone in my life because sometimes my love language comes off less than lovely. So
I relate.
Yeah.
Are you Virgo by chance?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yes.
What? We knew that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What date?
September 13th.
Oh, that's right.
You're
We're a
pretty
week
close.
apart. The 20th.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Obviously. Same. Yeah, that's a joke. All right, before we get into another juicy topic, which is about Lindsay Whalen and defense, and this is one you're going to want to hear. We want to hear from Cara Quinn. She's a realtor. Cara Quinn. You know, I don't know how I can't fire myself runtime.
Well, you know what? It's really cool. It's almost like Jim Souhan's here. Those of you that listen know exactly what I mean.
So, Cara, as you make your way up here, I want you to know that they've told me that it's Cara twice, and in my brain, because I just don't do well with being told what to do, which is why I don't play for Coach Reeve.
Virgo.
You're right. I mispronounce it on purpose just to resist. It's just the kids are blocking the stage.
Welcome to the stage, Cara Quinn.
Over there.
We'll join the hot seat over there with Jana. I too want to thank Cara Quinn for her support of the show. Really appreciate it. I do get a kick out of every time we do a show and listening to Jim try to get out exactly Cara Quinn.
No, he's gotten a lot better at it. My favorite thing that Jim does actually when I listen to the podcast, Cara Quinn from Brick and Bannister Real Estate Company. That's Bannister with one N.
He does.
Like, why do other people spell it with two N's? I don't know. No, that's my favorite thing. No, that's okay. I've been called Cara my whole life. I'll usually correct you, but Cheryl got it this time, so no problem.
It's attention to detail. That's sort of what we're about. That's one of the things that, we might. This is a thing. When you come off a pin down, we think it's really important that you come off the pin down a certain way. Simone Augustus can tell you the value of using a screen. The pin down is when someone like Brunson might sprint to go screen for Simone who's standing in the corner. That's what we call a pin down. You have to wait for the screen, and then there's a certain angle that you have to come off the screen. If you make a banana cut, you're not going to be open. And so there's that go again kind of mindset that we think that setting up that cut is going to lead to a more valuable shot for our team. So Cara, we think that's really important, the attention to detail. Good tie in there, Cara?
That was great. I was waiting to see where you were going to go with that, actually.
I was like, what?
Good.
Hi.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about, Cara?
Oh, my gosh. I don't know. Actually, no, in all honesty, I want to just shout out to Glory for this whole event, the winter clothing drive for homeless youth. Some of you guys, if you've listened to the podcast, you might know I was actually a career educator. I was a school administrator before becoming a realtor. And, that whole piece about homelessness with our youth increasing, that's real. When Glory was throwing out some of those statistics, I can think of actual kids. I can picture their faces. I was actually just this week talking to the homeless liaison at the school that I used to be involved in. We've got just over 750 kids, and we have 27 homeless kids this year. And that number has been increasing every single year. So just thanks to all of you. Thanks for your donations. And a huge shout out to Glory for putting this event on.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We appreciate your support of the show. We know that aligning together, we can do more. So we appreciate, and hopefully we've maybe got some leads for you for business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, in all honesty, if you're looking to buy a house or sell a house this year, for sure, give a shout out. Let's just go grab coffee. We'll talk a little bit about it. It was funny, Cheryl, when you were talking about Jess Shepard and how Jess Shepard was a steal. You guys got her later in the draft than maybe she merited, quite frankly, based on her production. I'm sitting there thinking that's what I do with houses. Yeah. I find undervalued houses and I find them on the market and we turn them into beautiful houses and we sell them again. We just did that actually with a house of our own, and
it's like the pin down analogy.
It's kind of like that pin down analogy. I'm going to find a way to use that in all sorts of things.
You guys, you're going to really impress those around you when you're at a game and you go, "Did you see that pin down? What a great screen! They waited for that screen, great angle, right?"
Yeah. No, speaking of screens, though, I know a lot of you guys were over at Williams Arena before this. I was over at the barn earlier today, too. How about that Janelle McCarville pick, though, that they kept showing over and over again? Ooh, that was such
legendary.
A good pick. That was a legendary pick. And
she got way too much enjoyment out about setting that pick, didn't she?
Well, and I love basketball. I'm not a referee. I'm not an expert, but I don't think it was an illegal pick.
It was perfectly legal.
It was perfectly legal. But that poor player's teammates should have been calling out that that big
Well, that's
for
what
her,
it's
right?
about.
That's
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
that's what would have happened.
That's a
but-
teaching moment for her teammates.
No kidding, right? Exactly, for sure. No, Cheryl, seriously, what's and this is the other thing that Jim, I love Jim because he just kind of creates the story. And I actually lived it. It wasn't that I went to Italy. I actually lived in Italy for like a decade. I've got Italian citizenship and all of that.
Well, hopefully Jim's listening so that he can.
That's
he can
okay.
fix that
I mean,
point.
actually kind of like that he just rolls with it. No, it's actually good. But what's going on with Cecilia Zandala-City? Are we
like
going to
it.
see her again?
Yes, great question. And I like that you said Cecilia.
Cecilia, yeah,
that's
Cecilia.
Yeah, that's Chechi. So I just was in touch with Chechi the other day. Cara. Chechi is playing really well. If those of you that get a chance to follow, really good site would be the FIBA site, where if you go to FIBA YouTube, you can watch video of the